Good morning, dear students, and welcome back. As days we are discussing about the human heart. In the previous session, we have discussed about it, and you know that there are four chambers of the heart: the right atrium, the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. Then there are certain arteries and veins, that is, the blood vessels, which are connected to the heart. It is the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, bringing the deoxygenated blood. Pulmonary vein, which carries pulmonary vein, which brings the oxygenated blood to the heart. Pulmonary artery, which is carrying the deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and the aorta, which is responsible for pumping the oxygenated blood to the different parts of the body. So, the right atrium, it receives the deoxygenated blood from the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava and pumps this deoxygenated blood into the right ventricle. The right ventricle receives this deoxygenated blood from the right atrium, and thereafter, this deoxygenated blood is pumped into the pulmonary artery so that it can be carried to the lungs. Then, the pulmonary artery receives the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle and moves it into the lungs to pick up oxygen and give off the carbon dioxide content which is present in the blood. The fact about the arteries is the arteries carry blood away from the heart. So it's here the pulmonary artery is also carrying the blood away from the heart, but the blood which is carried by this pulmonary artery is deoxygenated blood. Rest of the arteries, they carry oxygenated blood. Then left atrium is larger than the right atrium, and this is receiving, or this atrium, it receives oxygenated blood from the pulmonary veins. From where does this pulmonary vein bring the oxygenated blood? It brings the oxygenated blood from the lungs. Now this oxygenated blood, when it reaches to the right atrium, it is then pumped into the left ventricle. The right ventricle is also large. The left ventricle is also larger than the right ventricle, and after the blood is reached to the left ventricle, the blood passes on to the right ventricle, passes on into the left ventricle. It receives the oxygenated blood from the left atrium, and thereafter it pumps this oxygenated blood into the aorta. Aorta is the largest artery in the human body. It receives the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle of the heart, and then it moves this blood to all the parts of the body. The pulmonary vein, it carry oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium of the heart, and the fact about the vein is they are the only veins that carry oxygenated blood. Rest of the veins, it carries deoxygenated blood from various parts of the body. Now, what is inferior vena cava? Inferior vena cava is the large vein that carries deoxygenated blood from the lower half of the body into the heart. And superior vena cava is large but short vein that carries deoxygenated blood from the upper half of the body to the heart's right atrium. Now, why is the superior vena cava short? The reason is it brings the blood from the upper half of the body, and the upper half of the body, that is above the heart, the region of the body which is above the heart, is smaller than the rest of the body part, that rest smaller than the lower half. This is why this vein, though larger, it is shorter. Now, here you can see in the module the exterior diagram of the heart, which shows the various parts of the heart. And how does it look from inside? This is the interior of the heart. The red color artery, which is shown in the center, the larger one, is the aorta. On the right side, you can see the superior vena cava, and below you can see the inferior vena cava. So the inferior vena cava, it brings the blood from the lower half of the body, and superior vena cava brings the blood, the deoxygenated blood, from the upper half of the body. Then pulmonary artery, it carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs for purification, and pulmonary vein brings the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Now, this is the picture view of our heart. Now, in the next module, I'm going to show you the heart, how it looks in real. This is our heart, the muscular organ that pumps blood to the different parts of the body. Our body gets the oxygenated blood from the heart, and it is because of the heart we are alive. This organ works continuously. There is continuous contraction and relaxation taking place in the heart throughout the lifetime of a person. So, this shows how our heart looks in the cross section. So, now I'm going to show you a small video through which you can see how our heart, it pumps blood, what is contraction and what is relaxation, what is this continuous work of the muscles which make our heart. As you know, our heart is made up of cardiac muscles. So it is the work of these cardiac muscles that it continuously contracts and relax, so that the blood which comes from the various parts of the body can be purified and being sent to the lung, and thereafter that purified blood, how it is pumped to the ventricles, and from the ventricles how through aorta it is passed on through the arteries to different parts of the body. Now, in the video you have seen how the cardiac muscles were contracting and relaxing. The heart is made of muscles that can contract and relax, but all of them do not contract or relax at the same time. All right? The first two auricles, at first, the two auricles, that is, the upper part of the heart, it contracts and forces blood into the ventricles. A fraction of seconds later, what happens? The two ventricles, it contracts and push the blood into the pulmonary artery and the aorta. Pulmonary artery gets the deoxygenated blood and the aorta, it gets the oxygenated blood. This takes place at the same time. As you know, the heart is divided into two sections. So one side, the oxygen poor blood circulation is going on, and on the other side, the oxygen rich blood circulation is going on. Next, when the auricles relax, the blood flows into them from the pulmonary veins and the vena cava. Now, which blood is brought by pulmonary vein? The pulmonary vein, it brings the oxygenated blood from the lungs. And where it is poured? It is poured into the left auricle. And through vena cava, the superior and the inferior, the deoxygenated blood, which is brought from the different parts of the body, the blood is poured into the right auricle. These phases occur in rhythmic manner, that is, one after the other, and together it forms the cardiac cycle. So, the contraction of the heart is called as systole. What is it called? When the contraction in the heart is taking place, it is this is known as systole, and the relaxation of the heart is called as diastole. And one cardiac cycle, one cardiac cycle means the auricle, it is contracting and it is passing on the blood into the ventricle. When the ventricle is contracting, the auricle is in relaxation mode. So when it is relaxing, what will happen? The blood from the pulmonary vein and the vena cava will be poured into the auricles. So this continuous contraction and relaxation takes place. Contraction of the heart is called as systole and relaxation of the heart is known as diastole. And one cardiac cycle, it lasts for about 8 seconds. And this regular rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart takes place, and this is only called as heartbeat. Each heartbeat can be heard. It is heard as two sounds, the lub and dub sound. The lub dub sound. When the auricle contracts, it produces weaker sound. The sound is smaller or weaker. This sound is the lub sound. And when the ventricles are contracting, it causes stronger sound. So that sound is called as dub sound. Now, how can you hear this lub dub sound? There is an instrument which is required to hear the heartbeat of a person. So, a heartbeat can be heard by a device called stethoscope. What is it called? It is called as stethoscope. Heart rate or heartbeat can be determined by using a stethoscope. What is the work of this stethoscope? It amplifies the sound of a heartbeat, and because of this, we can hear the lub dub sound clearly. The heartbeat of a person or heart beats at an average of 72 times per minute. This might, you might have noticed also, when you go to the doctor to consult the doctor for any disease, he hears the sound from the chest region, isn't it? Yes, using a stethoscope. So it is the stethoscope which lets the doctor know about the problem which may be there. So, with the stethoscope, it's very easy to hear and it's very clearly audible the lub and dub sound. Now, here are few heart facts. During a typical day, an adult heart pumps out about 2000 gallons of blood. That would be enough blood to fill more than 50 bathtubs. Now, this doesn't mean that our body contains 2000 gallons of blood, but it is telling that the same blood which is present in our body, it is circulated so many times, it is pumped so many times that it is equal to about 2000 gallons of blood. In a typical adult at rest, the heart pumps 70 times each minute and sends out about one third cup of blood with each heartbeat. And the heart pumps about 5 liters approximately of the blood each minute. So the total volume of the blood in an adult is around 5 liters. When heart pumps the blood faster, it sends the same blood 4 times the same amount. So these are the few facts to know. Now, how to keep your heart healthy. Developing healthy eating habits and regular exercise helps in keeping the heart healthy. A healthy heart keeps you healthy. So, healthy eating habits, if developed, can keep your heart healthy. Too much of fatty substances like cholesterol full food will definitely cause problem for the heart. So we need to reduce the fatty substances or fat rich food, or what will happen if we keep taking the fatty substances too much, it will reduce or slow down the blood supply to the heart. As you have seen in the previous sessions, that the fatty substances, it gets accumulated at different places, and if it gets accumulated in the arteries and veins, definitely there will be problem for the blood flow, because of which various problems may be caused. So cutting down the amount of fat in the diet is helpful in keeping the heart healthy, and this can be achieved by limiting foods like the dairy products, cheese, paneer, and ghee. Other than that, the oily food and meat, which contain high amounts of fat. Other than this, when a fat rich diet is consumed regularly, the person becomes obese. Obese means fatty. This puts extra strain on the heart as it has to push blood to a greatly enlarged body. So, this extra strain on the heart and accumulation of fatty substances in the arteries can lead to heart attack. Obesity can be overcome by eating a balanced diet and increasing the physical activity. Other than this, to keep a heart healthy, a person has to be smoke free. The blood cholesterol and the blood pressure has to be managed, even diabetes. Physical activity is to be increased. A person has to achieve and maintain a healthy weight, enjoy a variety of nutritious food other than the junk food, and take less alcohol. If at all a person is taking alcohol, it should be reduced. Other than this, exercise is another way to keep your heart healthy. Physical exercise is necessary to maintain good health. When we exercise, the heart pumps more blood into the arteries and the lungs expand fully to take in maximum oxygen. This means that the blood circulation becomes faster, and because of this, more oxygen goes to the cells for oxidation of food. In this process, more energy is produced by the food, and the heart muscles and the lungs also become stronger by doing more work. Therefore, exercise helps in relieving tension. A person feels and looks better, and also it keeps our heart healthy. So, with this, I finish off this chapter. Hope you have understood about this chapter clearly. If you have any doubt, we'll meet again in the revision classes so that I can clear all your doubts regarding whatever topic which we have dealt in this session. Whatever work is given in the PDF, you're supposed to complete it in your fair copies and submit it in the school on time. The time is already given to you. It is told to you the 30th of this month you need to submit your copies for correction. So kindly complete all your work and submit your copies on time, as you're going to get your internal assessment marks. So it's very, very important for you to finish your work to achieve those marks. So I end up this session. God bless you.